So I first got tied into the gathering at a Champaign County Chamber event. Met Jeff Pinkleton at that. He grabbed me afterwards, like, hey, there was just something about you when you were talking. I just felt like I needed to come and say hello. So we met then, and it probably was a couple months after that. He's like, hey, I want you to come do Young Guns. So I did the year-long program. I was living in Marysville, so driving 45 minutes an hour down to Springfield, and man, that was just life-giving. Being with probably 10 other guys, and the connection that happened there, but probably even more so was getting to hang out in Christian businessmen's homes and hearing how they're living their life and seeing there's other people doing this. Yeah. And I mean, that's been kind of, I'm in the business world, and so trying to figure out how do you live life for Christ in the marketplace. And so that was one of the first really beautiful glimpses of it that I'd had.
I think every business leader who is a Christian has these thoughts of combining those two worlds.
Yeah.
But it's almost like we're looking for permission to do that, and you rarely are going to get that in the business world. And it wasn't until I got involved in the gathering where not only did someone say, Rob, yeah, you can do both those things at the same time. They didn't give me that permission. They showed me how it's done.
Yeah.
They modeled it, which gave me all the permission I needed to go be a business leader the way Jesus would have me lead.
What I love about the gathering, I mean, just the intimate setting that you can bring a friend, a client, a coworker, have a cup of coffee, get to know a group of guys. It's very non-threatening. And it may be the simplest form of the church that any one of those people experience. It's really cool.
I'm in Bell Fountain now, and walking down the street, and I can see the guy in the bank. I can see the guy, in the retail shop. Like I know their heart. I know what they're doing, and man, that is just such an encouragement, because there are days where I completely forget what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and you see those guys, you're like, I remember we're in this for something bigger than making a buck. We're in this bigger than trying to check off the to-do for the day. And so I think that's that part of that community too, of, you can bring others into it. It goes far beyond even just a locker room and hanging out.
Especially in a society where all of that is supposed to be suppressed, right? Men are supposed to be on an island. And that's what I love about the gathering. It shatters those perceptions. It's light. It's being able to connect, in the business, in community, in your personal lives with other men, and just really understanding that you're not on the island by yourself. That there's other guys going through the exact same things that you're going through, and to be able to have buddies in the trenches with you is huge.
I think when people see leaders in the community, leaders in business and government and faith, when they see those kind of people going more than just surface level, that opens it up for every man. And that's one of the coolest things about the gathering, is that it really targets people with platforms and influence, and it says, yes, God can work through everyday ordinary people, but imagine what he can do if he gets a hold of the hearts of the leaders of this community. And I see that happening here. It's cool to be used in that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I think that's one of the big encouragements, is when you know that you see that spark showing up in other leaders and other men, that that they're praying for the community. That when they're leading and they're doing business transactions or decisions, it's not just for them, that they're asking God for wisdom and discernment. It's just such an amazing thing, knowing that God has the hearts of so many people in our community, and what an impact that can have. That's a wild encouragement for me.
It also trains you to look through those lenses. It allows you to see God at work a little bit more, because you're open to seeing it.
The reality is, everybody has skeletons in the closet. Everybody goes through hard things. I think people can look at someone's life and they see the good parts of it, the parts most men are willing to show, and they assume that's what their whole life is like. The reality is I would go home from my job, which is a great job, but I would go home to a family that's struggling with things like depression, suicidal thoughts. I got a son who's sitting in prison awaiting trial, and very few people get to know that, but you know who gets to know that is the guys in my locker room group, because they are the ones who pick me up when I feel like giving up and feel like being a leader sucks right now, because they don't know what I go home to. And I think every leader has those parts of their lives. And without the gathering, they face it alone.
Probably on a monthly basis, there's something that pops up in the locker room where a guy's going through something tough, you know, and you said, you know, life at home is not always easy. And when, you know, I've shared those challenges and struggles, and it's not just that one Wednesday morning, it's the next week when Clyde comes up to me and was like, hey, I know things have been tough. Your wife's been injured. She loves to run. How's she doing? Like, what's going on there? I want to keep praying. And then it's the next week and the next week. Like, my goodness, these guys, like, they care about me. They want to know what's happening in my world, and they care what's happening in my house. Yeah, that makes you feel like someone sees you.
Absolutely.